Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Casey. Welcome to Lunch Break Live. Appreciate you tuning in. It is Monday, May 1st, 2023. I hope everybody's week is off to a great start. It's kind of my weekend. I work on the weekends, so I'm off today. So a couple of things before I get started. A kind of disclaimers, if you will. I'll be doing these on a regular basis, Monday and Wednesday, the same time every day. I'm here to talk about real shit. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm here to talk about real shit and being human, things we all deal with. That being said, I speak broadly, though I apply my own experiences and lessons to the things I talk about. Not everything I say you're going to relate to or may apply, and that's fine. Take what applies, leave what doesn't. But don't throw it all out just because you feel like one thing may not apply. If you listen through, it may. And so that's all I ask. The comment thread is open for constructive, meaningful dialogue and discussion. I do not follow the comments while I'm broadcasting. It tends to distract me, but I will go back and read them. So please feel free to share your thoughts, opinions, your own experiences. That's kind of what we're here for. That's what I'm hoping to accomplish and nurture here is open dialogue and meaningful discussion about ourselves and our society and the world we live in and how we actually go about making that a better place. And so please feel free to share. That being said, what is not welcome in the thread is an attempt to dismantle thoughts or ideas because you don't feel like they apply to you, that you don't feel like they apply to you, or you don't relate to them. So therefore, you're going to come dismantle it completely, or attempt to disregarding that other people may. So that would certainly not be welcomed or appreciated. So if you have something to contribute, please do. If you do not, please refrain from that. That being said, we're going to move forward. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about authenticity and connection. So throughout human history, the poets, the prophets, the seers, the artists, the philosophers, the visionaries, the thinkers have always talked about authenticity and living authentically and the true self. Like the true self and living from that place is very much adopted by Western philosophy over time, though it very rarely is really applied. And so the truth and the reality is the vast, vast majority of us are not living from a true, authentic self and a true, authentic place. And that's not something to be poetic or to romanticize or is some new age wish-washy hogwash shit. It's very true. Because we all live at least 3 different lives. Like we all have 3 different lives, 3 different selves, if you will, at least. We have our public life, which is what we present to the world and to society when we go to our jobs and all that kind of stuff. And that could arguably be broken up into our real world public life and our online personal life, because for a lot of people, those 2 things don't mesh. Those are 2 very different things, and people will conduct themselves very differently on social media via a screen than they would in real life to people on the street. So we all have that public life that we present to the world. And then we have our private life, which is a little more, we take the armor off a little bit. So we have our private life, which is our family, our close friends, confidants, and stuff like that. And then we have our secret lives. And that's what's in here. It's what's in our head. That's secret life. It's just the things that we tell ourselves. It's how we view ourselves. It's how we view the world around us. And so we all have that. Like, all of us have a public, a private, and a secret life. And the public and the private, like, they're fluid, if you will. Once you get in your car at the end of the workday, you kind of step into your private life a little bit. Talk to yourself. You make a phone call to whoever. You turn the radio on, jam, whatever. You're in your private sphere. You've taken off whatever armor you felt like you had to put on to go into that public sphere, and so they're fluid, There's if you got to stop at the store, now you're getting out of your car. Now you're heading back into that public life. So you're putting some of that armor back on. You stop, get it in your head a little bit. But both are controlled and influenced by that secret life. And the problem is, for the majority of us, they're all at odds. Like, and if they're at odds, if you have to put on armor from what your brain is telling you in that inner dialogue to now go, and to deal with your family, you're putting armor on. That's a conflict with your authentic self, and it all stems from that stuff we're telling ourselves in our head, and it's what's messed our entire society up. Like, if nobody is living authentically, and I promise you, you're most likely not. Like, you might think that you are, but if you're not actively working on it, you're not, And so if you're not, and you're having to put on armor, none of us are interacting from an authentic place. And when we're not, we live in a society that has heavily manipulated us and to control it. It's imprisoned our mind, with insecurities, with fear, and tapped into all those things. And that's where so many of us are operating, from this place of fear and insecurities, from that secret life of, I'm not good enough, I'm too much, should I do this, should I not do this? And when you're operating from that place and the ego gets all mixed up in there, the ego wants to be right all the time. You know what I mean? And so when your secret life is fueled from inadequacies, fears, you're going to go through your life looking for things that fuel and justify that, so that your ego is correct. You know what I mean? Like, for example, if you have a fear of snakes and you go for a hike in the woods, chances are you're going to spend a lot of that time looking for snakes, because you're fearing it. You have a fear that there's snakes. Like, I'm scared of snakes, and I'm in an environment where there's snakes. So I'm going to be looking for snakes. I'm going to be looking for signs of snakes. I'm going to be looking for environments where snakes could be. And that's all you're going to think about. And you're going to completely miss out and on this enjoyment of what's around you, because you're operating from this fear. And so when you go through your life like that, and we all do, that's why we start putting on that armor. And it's fucked us all up. It's fucked up our connections. And because our connections are so jacked up, is why society is so jacked up. It's why the system can control and manipulate us. And I feel like we've reached this point where we're all very aware, of what the system and the machine has kind of done to our minds and just life in general. And it goes back even to childhood, because it kind of starts there in this programming that forms these mindsets and belief systems. And however you got to that place, you have them. We all have insecurities, and it's about dismantling them so that we're not operating from that place. Because if we're operating from a place of insecurity and fear, we're not operating from our true self. A true self, like when you're operating from your place, from that true self, it exists in love and creativity and happiness and joy. It doesn't exist in a place of depression and sadness and longing and all. That's not. If that's how you're feeling, you're not living authentically. You're just not. Like, we can blame it on whatever external circumstances we want, whether it be our relationships, our parents, our society, our job, whatever it is. Our past trauma is the biggest one that most people are operating from. We're all operating from this past trauma place, and we're living this story. Like that's the story that we're living of this past trauma, and we're layered up with armor and masks, and like to protect like this inner person that was hurt like when they were 5 years old or whatever happened to you. You know, personally, I feel like the majority of us, at least in this society in the United States, are operating from this place of, at its most base level, abandonment and childhood sexual abuse. Those two things, one or the other, or some intercombination, and they exist, like we've all experienced, I feel like, on some level. And so when that happens in your childhood, or you have a childhood that's mired in drug-addicted parents, or just the ills of society, that forms that mindset, and now we live our life operating from that place, and we're not living authentically because we're not being we're living in survival mode, and survival mode puts you in protection mode, and you're layered up with armor, so you're not letting anybody in. And when you're not letting anybody in, and you can't live from that true authentic self, and you can't live authentically, you're making yourself sick. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, it's making society sick, because we're all just huddled up in our little shells on whatever level applies for you. But we have to get past that, you know, and I was kind of inspired to talk about this by a series of posts that kind of happened yesterday on Facebook. And it started with a post I'd made about, you know, tell me how I had a positive impact on your life. And I had a nice little thread, and a friend of mine had commented about a live I did the other day, and then one I'd done in the past about addiction, because I talk about it a lot because it affects a lot of us. And it affected her, and she made a really beautiful comment about it. Well, later on in the day, I saw somebody else's post that said, don't share your problems socially. Socially, they require personal attention, not social attention. I'm paraphrasing. To which I greatly kind of disagree, because like what's happened, we've shielded ourselves, you know, and if we can't talk real, then we're just talking about bullshit and politics and all this. And it's like, if you're aware that the machine has like manipulated our minds and imprisoned our minds, but that's all you're talking about, it's affected yours too. Like, why are you not talking? Like, how has it affected you? Like, what are you doing to free your mind from the matrix? You know, talk about that instead. But if all you're talking about and focused on is pointing out how other people are so wrapped up in the system, you're just as wrapped up in it. Like, you're still operating from that place. And we have to reconnect. Like, if we want to change society and save this doom and gloom, you know, projection path that we feel like we're on, we have to reconnect as a society, you know. And this person suggested, no, don't talk about your problems and stuff on social media and Facebook. You know, that requires, why not? Like, why not? Like, they gave us this platform, and at some point, they made us believe, I guess, that Facebook and social media was only a platform for arguing about stuff. Like, you don't share what you're dealing with in life on social media. Like, that's not the place for it. But why the fuck not? Why shouldn't I talk about the struggles I've had with addiction on social media, or the struggles I'm having with my kid, who, you know what I mean, as a result of that life that she grew up in? Or, you know, I'm having these worries about my relationship, or whatever it is. Why shouldn't I talk about that stuff on social media? Because we're all living it. Like, we all deal with it. Like, you know, like, why not talk about that stuff? Because they made us believe that we shouldn't. You know, they made us believe that we shouldn't be vulnerable. Like, vulnerability is weakness, is what is this belief system that's been allowed to be nurtured in this society. And that's why it's messed up. Because we're not vulnerable, because we're guarded, because we're not being real and honest, because we're living a public life, a private life, and a secret life. And we need to get those. You should be living one life, yours, one life. You have one self. Live it. It requires vulnerability and courage and all those things. And it requires being real and talking about it, because when you talk about it and you're open about it, it gives other people the safe space and the courage to talk about it too. Like, don't be ashamed. Shame for things that have happened in your life is what keeps us trapped, and we've created this society now where we've put individual labels on just like everything. Everything's just labeled to fucking death. And we have a generation of kids growing up now, like my daughter's 16, that are so look at me, and my labels, look at me, give me attention, while simultaneously getting offended when you look at them. They want you to look at them, but then they're offended. It's like this crazy gaslighting thing, which could be its own topic in itself. But the point is that they're being raised. We're all products of the generation that raised us, so at what point are we going to save it? Stop talking about the doomed projected path. Talk about how we got here. Talk about what's going on in your life. You know what I mean? Live from that true self, because until we do, nothing is going to change. There is nothing more important we can be talking about right now than reconnecting as a human race, as a society of people. Because the reality is, we can blame anything outside of us we want. Any thought, idea, any concept. We can blame government. We can blame religion. We can blame AI. We can blame whatever, your childhood. At some point, you have to grab hold of the reins, because it's your fucking life and it's your fucking mind. And stop letting everything else control it, because society, the reality is, it's what we choose to make it. We talk about revolution, but we're still trapped in that fucking mindset of revolution is let's go storm the Capitol on January fucking 6th or some shit, theatrics, whatever. We're still trapped in that fucking old school story mindset, this historical story that we've been living of. That's how we produce change, is through violent uprising and shit. Has that changed anything? Has the way that we've been doing things and talking about those things and screaming truth to power, and activism and protesting, where has that really gotten us? Because the best I can see at 46, kind of the same fucking place. What's really changed other than it getting rebranded again a couple of years later as something else so we can argue about it all over again? Why don't we do something different? Why don't we talk about us and what this society has done to us? What's happened? Share your vulnerability. It allows other people to do it too. And it just takes one. It's that ripple effect. Stop trying to change shit from the top down. That's what the hippies did. You know what I mean? The hippies we're going to go change the system from the inside, and not to knock the hippies, or whatever. But the hippies became the government that's running the country now. Hello? That's the former hippies is who's running the country now. That time era. So keep that in, let's be vulnerable, be real. If you got hurt, fucking talk about that shit. Guess what? Other people have too, and they can relate and create a meaningful dialogue. I kind of lost track of where I was going there. But we need to nurture and cultivate a society that values vulnerability, that values trust and connection, because society is what we make it. Facebook is depending on your news feed, just a cesspool of constant arguing. But it doesn't have to be. It can be what we make it. It's what we make it. It's a platform, people. Yes, I understand government, Zuckerberg, and censorship, and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? They're censoring truth shit and stuff like that because it's open to debate. And, in a world with deep fakes and AI and all this kind of stuff. And if all you're focusing on is this proof of some shit going on at the top, guess what? It is. We know it's all bought off. Like, we're very aware of it at this point. What they're not going to censor and pull down, or shadow ban you or drop you to the bottom of the newsfeed for is talking about your own life. Talk about your own life. Hit fucking live on your, or record a video or whatever, and talk about it. What are they going to go like say, no, according to our fact checkers, Casey did not have a drug addiction. That's not going to fucking happen because it's true and I'm talking about it. If you've ever seen 8 Mile, dude, great movie. And B Rabbit, man, the end of the movie, what does he fucking do? How does that movie end up? How does he end up going in there, fucking just boom, 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 owning this shit? He outs himself. He just outs himself. He leaves nobody, nothing to be thrown at him because he just outs himself. He takes the digs at himself. He owns his shit. Until you own it, you can't change it. And if you're not living authentically and honestly, you can't even begin to change that because you're still lying to yourself. Those negative thoughts and those things you tell you about yourself and your secret life, while they were justifiable and they're justified, like how they got there, they're lies and bullshit. Like, at a certain point, we have to choose as individuals, like, do we want to keep living this life story that we've been telling ourselves? Or do we want to turn the page, start a new chapter, and live from a more authentic place? Like, meld that place. Like, you have one life, one self. I'm Casey. That's who I am. That's all I have. And I don't want to live a public life, a private life, and a secret life. I want them to all be, I just want to present one person to the world. I don't want to be in this constant internal battle with my heart and my mind. Is it okay to say this? Is it okay to act that way? Is it okay to be vulnerable on social fucking media? Because people are going to judge you for being vulnerable. Because for some reason, they led us to believe that that's not okay. It's totally okay. It's totally okay. Be fucking vulnerable. Jesus, could take the fucking armor off. God damn, that shit gets heavy. We can't fight the enemy because the enemy really is us. It's like we're own. He did all those cliches. Your own worst enemy. Know thyself, conquer thyself. That shit is all true. And we can't change the world around us. Like, how, if we can't change ourselves, if you can't change yourself, how do you have any hope ever to change the world around you? Because that's how it starts. It starts with you. Like, never mind voting and all that. I mean, I guess it has its place. I have my own opinions on that. I'm not getting into that right now. The point being is that it starts with you. It ripples outwards. Like, the more authentically I can live my own life, the more honest I am about my secret life, then it's not secret. I take my secret life and I'm making it public. I struggled with drug addiction for a fucking long time. I've gotten through it doing fucking beast mode. I struggle with inadequacies, insecurities. You know what I mean? Like, just like the rest of you. But once you take that secret life and you talk about it, you've now made it public. And once it's public, the private life just falls into, you know what I mean? Because if you're public, the private just, and now it's that simple, really. I mean, really, it's that simple to start living authentically. Just be honest. Just be fucking honest. We all have the same types of insecurities. We all got there from this variations of the same way. We're arguing about all these differences and labels. We have far more fucking in common. And that's what we need to be talking about. The shit we have in common. Because that's how we change. That's how we address it and change. Not by like keeping it in here and just letting it loop around and layering up masks and pulling back from situations. Not taking a leap into Casey trying to transition his life to doing just this, what I'm doing right now. I don't want to grind it out in kitchens and restaurants. I love that life. It's given me so much enjoyment and satisfaction and knowledge and just so much stuff. And it satisfies me still, but I don't feel fulfilled by it. I feel fulfilled right now. Like, this makes me feel fulfilled doing this, even though from what I look, it's only 2 people watching right now, but so what? But in order for me to do that, I had to be vulnerable. I had to be willing to, okay, even though there's only 2 people watching and nobody's even liable to see this when I do it at the time, I just gotta do it. Just gotta do it. Because I'm scared to be vulnerable. But I know the draw that I'm feeling to do it. And I know that everything that's in here, if I can bring it out here, is going to help me become more authentic. But I'm hoping it's going to help you too. And so I can't imagine a better thing to do with my time, a better thing to just do with life at this point in human history, because things are speeding up rapidly, and with technology and just, we have not kept pace as a human species with that stuff. And we have fears of all this technology and all these things, and like in a doom and gloom way. But again, like, we're not there yet. Like, we're not there. And it doesn't have to happen that way. And it's only going to happen that way if we just let them continue to have the reins of our minds. And that's how it'll play out. Because if, energy flows where focus goes, and thought creates reality, and it does by all those things I just illustrated. Like, if you're thinking you're not good enough, you're going to operate from a place and approach situations and things, and everything that happens in your life is going to be reflected through this place of course that happened because I'm not good enough. And it's, self-fulfilling prophecies and all that. And so take self-fulfilling prophecies and just how you've seen them manifest in your own life, multiply that times an entire society. And if you have a huge subsection of the society or the planet, excuse me, that is focusing a huge amount of their time on calling out and pointing out and worrying about all the bad shit, like, I get being aware of what's happening. But if this is what you've defined yourself by, as this constant drive to focus on the negative aspects of the world, you are encouraging their manifestation. You are helping fuel them. As long as you're talking about that shit, you're keeping it in your mind, you're keeping it in other people's minds. You are encouraging a fear of the future that isn't even here. And now, in the present moment, in the now, we're living in this life story that we've been living up till this moment that you're watching this live feed, and whatever loops you've been playing in your head. But now, on top of that, so you've got this fear. It's where a lot of depression and all that loneliness, that's all from the past. Those feelings are fueled from past traumas that you're still holding on to. Let that shit fucking go. Let it go. I understand it. Whatever it was. I'm speaking broadly. Don't be offended. I understand that shit hurt. Like, I get it. And I understand it's hurt you through your life, all through now. You're not there now. Whoever touched you when you were 5 is not touching you now. That's not happening now. It's only in your head. And that doesn't devalue or dismiss what happened. But it's only living in your mind. And your body and all that, it's all controlled from here. Like, your entire existence, your health, the world you see around you, the things that happen in your life, it's your mind. It controls it all. Your individual mind. And when you live from that place, that hurt that you've been carrying for, I don't know, only you can speak to that. You've been operating from that place. Set it down. Talk about it. Open up. Let it out. Let it out. Because when you let that secret consumes you, that which you don't let out will like destroy you. Like, paraphrasing, but there's a million quotes, I'm sure, from a million different people and places and times and epochs that will tell you that. It's because it's true. You just got to apply it. But it's scary. Changing yourself is scary. Being open and vulnerable is scary and requires courage. I can't think of more courageous people probably on the planet than heartbroken people. That's vulnerability leaking out my eye. Because people that feel heartbroken keep doing it. That's courage. It takes real bravery to be vulnerable. Let people in. Have them use that vulnerability against you because they haven't dealt with their own shit. Now you're heartbroken. And get back up and do it again. I mean, damn. That's pretty courageous. Something to be learned from those people. To the heartbroken people, I will tell you this. Don't give up. Don't shell up from it. Because the world needs those people. And what I would encourage you to do is change your own mindset to where you attract more like-minded people. But that's on you. Because again, it all stems from your mind. And when you're open and honest with yourself and you try and meld those lives into one life, you'll attract those kind of people and you won't be heartbroken. You won't be feeling that way because the people that you will be surrounding yourself understand. Because we're all trying to be vulnerable and open. We're all trying to let out demons and all that shit. And you can't get past your own shit by yourself. Like, you might be able to take it to a certain point, but that's why relationships are so important. We're not meant to be isolated in, a species. Like, we're very much social creatures. We're meant to be social. That's what it is. And so the more we are, I'm getting long-winded, I'm half losing track of where I'm at, but be vulnerable, like be honest, be open, because that's the only way we take our power back. That's how we take our power back from manipulative systems, is being fucking honest about what it's done to you. Like, again, that's the only way. Tackling it from the voting booth isn't going to change shit, because people are still voting from their unauthentic selves. Like, which person's voting that day? When somebody walks into the voting booth, are they voting from their public self, their private self, or are they voting for their secret self? I don't know. And how much of, just be fucking real. Just be fucking real. You know what I mean? If you got hurt today because whatever fucking happened and you want to put it on social media, fucking do it. Just fucking do it. And quit bashing people for doing it, And to each their own, I guess, because is there something to be said for sympathy posts and attention seeking? I suppose. But at the same time, what's wrong with that? I mean, me as the viewer, as the observer, I don't know the person's intention for their post, And if somebody's seeking attention, what's wrong with that? And I guess it all depends on the context of the attention that they're seeking, the types of attention. But the types of attention they're seeking is usually pretty obvious. But even then, it all speaks to some past trauma, childhood, hurt, shit, inner negative dialogue. The people that are constantly having to take the selfies, or I've been taking selfies lately in an effort to promote myself and get over that myself. For others, you know what I mean? Image, body issues, a need to be seen, a need to be just whatever. But all those needs stem. Like, don't judge those people for that. Like, just understand. Like, it stems from something. It stems from something that happened that was outside of their control, that they've now just internalized. You did it too. Fucking people judging like you forgot like where you came from. But I think the judging and the finger pointing and that's all just distraction from self. It's everything that happens that is fed to us on social media and television and advertising is to distract you from everything I just said that we need to be talking about and that you need to be thinking about. It all is the jobs, the stress, all of it, the noise. So much fucking noise out here to keep you distracted from the noise in here. And that's all you need to be worrying about. Because once you clean up the noise in here, the rest of this noise will kind of fall away because you'll realize it's just fucking noise. It's just fucking noise. And all I can really affect is my immediate life and what's around me and ripple it outwards. Change myself. Give the people around me a safe space to feel heard, seen, understood, which then gives them the ability to do that to the people around them. And it just ripples out. And that's how we change the world. Because ripples turn into waves and they crash into these societal structures that have just like bashed our souls into the fucking ground. It is time to take back control of your mind. Get out of the matrix. The key to getting out of the matrix is yourself. Be fucking brave and honest with yourself. Let go of the past hurt and step into your dreams. Change the prophecy that you're self-fulfilling. Stop living in fear. Take a leap and live your dream. Because just as much effort as it takes to see the world through fear and see the things that justify that fear, you could be looking at the things that justify what you believe about yourself, the person you want to be. Emulate that. You know what I mean? If you don't feel like that person, find someone that embodies that, and don't be like them, but just listen to it. Change the noise out here to music. You know what I mean? Do that. Change the noise. Turn off the fucking TV. Put on Lunch Break Live, and let's go with it, So, on that note, I hope everybody's having a good day. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing it. It took me a minute to get going. Once I get going, I'm good. Again, Wednesday at noon, I'll be doing this again. Wednesday, I'm thinking about talking about procrastination because it's something I have had a huge problem with myself. And so I'm going to kind of talk about how I've been dealing with that myself. And so please follow, share this stuff. Help me get this out. Help me share my voice because I want to help people. And I'm not perfect. I'm on this journey of building a singular self too. And every time I do this, it helps me do that. So please, any feedback is welcomed, and everybody have a good day. Tune in again noon on Wednesday, and again on Friday. Exciting news. My buddy Adam and I take the podcast that we've been doing on Wednesdays to analog radio airwaves on a radio station. 92.5 WLSD out of Northern Virginia. Good 3 tri-state broadcast range, 2 hours on Friday night. So Friday, 10 to 12, I'll be broadcasting that live. So check in on that, the first show. It's going to be cool. It's exciting. So good times ahead. And that's what I'm saying. Guys, get to that oneself, live in your dreams instead of your fears. Because once you do, shit will start happening quickly. I promise you. And it gets easier and easier and easier. Find the things you love about yourself and live there. Look for the things in your life that justify the things that you love about yourself. Do that. Stop looking for fear. Have a great day, everybody. I love you. Be happy. Let's fucking change yourself and let's change the world. Have a great day.